So forming up a set of steps, go from this driveway up to this platform here. So what I have to do first is figure the difference between the height of this and the height of the driveway. To do that, you can get a 4-foot level. Now if there was more than 4 foot here, you'd have to use either a long straight edge or some way of finding a level point. That happens to be 16 inches, which is good. Real good. You can also use a laser level if you have a long distance to go, 8-9 feet or something, or you can use a straight edge, maybe a 2x4, a nice straight one, 10 foot long or something. But you want to get your measurement like where the steps are going to end and where they begin. That distance in between there, which you can roughly guess, especially if you have an obvious slope. That's where you want to take your measurements to. So, which this one is showing again 16-inch difference between that end and this end. So 2 steps or 2 rises which actually would be 1 step, because you'd have a rise, a step, another rise, and then you're up to where you want to be, which is going to be over 8 inches roughly, because it is a little strong. It's a little bit like 16 3/8 or something, but for outside and there's only 2 steps, that isn't bad. No matter what you do, you want to keep each step exactly the same. Now if you had more steps to work with, more of an area to work with, more height, you could divide that up, add 1 more step in there, and you're not going to notice it. It would work out to, you don't want no less than 6-inch rise, anything, and that's even a little short. You can put smaller rises in, but it's not ideal. 6 inches are nice for older people, but 8 inches, I think the code is like 7/8, but they'll let you get away with 8, just as long as you're not over 8 inches for a rise on a step. I'm using a 2x12 to cut the risers out, and they're only going to be a temporary rise because it's actually going to be the form of the steps. So since I have an 8-inch rise, and I'm going to make a 10.5-inch step, I want to hold my square, because all your cuts are for a set of steps are square. You need your rise, which is obviously, we figured that out, 8 inches. Your step can vary. Again, I think code's 9.5. I'm not sure about that. No less than 9.5, and I don't know if there's a limit to the width. But whatever material usually works, which if you're using treated lumber, you usually use 2 pieces of 1x6 or 5/4 by 6 or 2x6, which would give you like 11 inches. Just mark this out. At 8, which I think I'll start down here so I don't have too much waste. 8 and 10.5. So there's 10.5 by 8, and then again move your square down there. It's all square cuts. Line it up with this mark you just made and this mark, and 10.5. And of course, no matter how many steps you need, you just keep going. I think there's a limit of 13 steps. Again, you'd have to look at the code book to know for sure before you have a landing to rest on. But this will give me, I'm going to put one in here because I think that bottom one's going to be wasted. Now I'll make a little notch here so I don't lose my mark. Probably overcut it and won't hurt, because once I'm done with this I'll throw these away. So I got a piece of 2x10, which I got to rip at 8 inches. I forgot to turn the camera on what I did here. And I need to put it on a 45. I need to cut this at a 45 because later on I'm going to want to, this is going to be my riser, and later on I'm going to want to reach my trowel in here because this is going to be the floor. You'll see what I'm talking about later. But I already got a straight line here marked, which I used combination square because it gets you a little better line than trying to chalk a line. But I don't even really need to do that. All I have to do is get my mark, steady it, find my mark right there, and you can see I'm holding right here. That's just, that's all I need, is that right there. Hold that tight, and my fingers, this camera's messing me up here, is plenty far from that blade. The only problem sometimes you have is that guard. The guard right there will want to stick when you first start. And this only holds true, I mean that works good, but it only holds true if this piece of lumber here is the same the whole way through, which it pretty much is. that's one of them. I don't got a cut for length yet. I'll use screws to put this together. Just makes it a little easier to take apart. And the angle, as you can see, the angle tapers out. This long part goes against the back. This one I left long. Normally it'd be like that, but I'm going to wedge it in behind the driveway there. So I want to make sure I match the top. Temporary. I'll have to move that. When you're working by yourself, you learn a lot of different ways to do things. Should be just about it, except for some digging. So this will drop down. I gotta take this out. This will drop down to flush with this, the bottom of this. Which I didn't, now that I realize it, I didn't really need to cut this one on an angle, but I did need to cut this one for sure on an angle. And then I'll just form this up. I cut this back so it's a 3.5, 2x4 from here over and into the block wall. And I can pour this in one solid piece. And once this is poured, take it apart and finish pouring this wall out to meet that. Probably a little section back. Well, after getting it lined up where it needs to be, all I have to do is level it up, stake it out. Throw a couple steel stakes in the ground to hold it. don't take a whole lot. Put maybe 2 on there, 2 there. Can't go forward because it's wedged in there. And then I'll just form the rest up with 2x4. And here across, and over there across. Tilt full cement. And the reason I have this notched out now is I can reach my trowel in back here and finish this part, because you'll see this. If I run that square down, you'd have seen a rough edge there. So that's the reason for cutting that angle. I really didn't need it on the bottom because it's already finished, but it ain't hurting nothing either. I have the steps all formed up. You can see they're ready to pour. I could add an edge to it, a lip, by adding a 2x4, something like that. You would add a lip to it the whole way around and down here, but for what I want it for, I don't really also put a piece of wire in there. I don't know. That top piece, I never put a piece of wire in, but I did cut it. That was poured solid, and then I put the cut in it, so it's a controlled crack then. But this isn't going to have nothing in it, which I don't think it should need, but if it does happen to crack, the wire will keep it from separating, I hope. At least that's the thought of it. Separating their one piece rising higher than the other. I got it poured. So just about ready to finish. Bottom step set up. I poured the bottom step a little bit and then I waited. Just so I wouldn't get the top forced into it, overflow it. But as you can see, that's why that's cut out, so I can reach my trowel back in there and finish it. If I didn't have it cut out, this would be down here and you'd see a form, 2x4 form on here. I don't know if you could hear me before, so it's further away from the camera, but you can see how that's finished back in there now. I need to go over it a little bit yet, but it's pretty much there where it needs to be. Top isn't done. Yeah, just hit that once or twice more and it'll be good. But that's it.